have the Pledge of Allegiance. Father, again, thank you so much for, again, your goodness. Another day. This is a day the Lord hath made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. We just want to commit our time to you, Lord God, asking for wisdom, insight, understanding, discernment, as we seek, Lord God, to do the business of the city of Stanton. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I want to welcome each and every one of you, and also those who might be watching us as we live stream our City of Stanton meetings now. I want to call to order the City of Stanton regular meeting here at Stanton City Hall, May 8th, 2025 at 6 p.m. First item is to approve our April 10, 2025 regular meeting minutes. Do I have a motion for that? Have a second? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I wasn't here, so.
Okay. Motion carried. All right, this time we'll have any public comments. Okay, Ruth?
Okay, here I am again, CSEP. I've been talking to everyone on a monthly basis. Reminder that it's going out. We all know it. We need 911 input. We can't do without it. We can't do without those services. And I've been talking to you since last year about what is Stanton going to do? How are we going to participate? I personally hate to see something just slapped onto a water bill. That's the easiest thing to do. It's not fair because I, as an individual homeowner, pays the same as many apartment complexes here that has one hookup. I think we should do something that is fair for all of us. Last month's fiscal court meeting, that was the first reading, and they were going to discuss some other things. Has anybody with the city got with the fiscal court to talk about what Stanton may or may not participate in? I'm kind of in the dark here, even though I've been talking about it, I think, forever. And those of you that are not new people to the council, you all understand that. So I need some information. Where are we? What are we going to do? And how are we going to make the citizens fairly participate in it instead of everything always being put on the homeowners? Homeowners are carrying too much of the load. We need to have commercial people carrying their share too. Thank you.
I haven't talked to I think they just had their meeting on Tuesday, right?
No,
Yeah.
last month.
Last month, yeah.
Yes.
And of course, that
Yes.
really isn't us. I mean, we have no control over whether they put that on there.
No, it isn't, but I've been talking to you, and every month I've been hearing, well, next month we're going to tell you how is Stanton going to do that. I've heard that story since last year, every single month. Now I think we need to have some input.
I can give you my input on it. I think we've talked about it before, is I think that speaking for myself, is the $5 which they are proposing, or which they've already had first reading on, to place that $5 on a water bill, I personally support that.
And so you support the homeowners of Stanton, Kentucky, paying, me as a homeowner, paying the $5, which is about $60, and the same that the large apartment complexes pay.
No,
they pay $60 because they have one hookup.
Yeah, I think that, again, I've talked about that, again, that's something that they will have to address. They'll have to look at, how do we make it equal for, like, let's say, the Baker Apartments, which is what you're referring to.
Right.
Used to be the Baker Apartments.
Right,
I don't
yes.
know what it's called
It's
now.
I don't know.
It's called Baker, okay. So, I know that that's something that I think they've addressed. I don't know if they've addressed that or not.
They were going to, as I spoke to you earlier, that they had started out with $5. They said they were going to have look at other options,
Right.
possibly
That's
taxes.
what I understood.
But I believed that we should have had some kind of input too.
Well, I gave Eddie mine, but it went along basically with what he said, what I'm saying to you now.
Yeah, to go ahead and put it on.
Yeah,
homeowners.
that, if they would like to do
I
that.
personally believe that's very unfair to homeowners of Stanton.
Okay.
I-
Anyone
I had-
else?
I had talked to Brian McKinney,
To who?
Brian McKinney.
He's
last
one
year,
of the managers.
Yes, one of the managers.
And he and I discussed some things. I mean, I'm for I'm okay with the $5 for water bill, but I don't think that's fair. That's not really spread out evenly.
Right.
Well, it's everybody, it's
But-
not just Stanton, it's
Yeah.
every water bill in the county, it's.
Right.
I
city,
understand
yeah.
that, but my whole point
Countywide.
has been, and it's been since last year, that we've got big, commercial areas here, that the old Baker, what, if they're still called
Baker
Baker
Apartments,
apartments,
yeah.
they have
Mhm.
one hookup. So Baker's, with all of the units and all the people that they are supporting in there, is paying the same $60 that all they pay. That's not right. And yes, it takes more time and more effort to do it so it's fair and equitable for everyone. And I think that people need to do their jobs and make it equitable for everyone.
Well, I think that Eddie and the fiscal court are working on that. I think they're at least discussing.
That they are
Yeah,
discussing,
some
but
of
I
the
was
options.
hoping that Stanton would also have some input on it, although you gave your personal input.
Yeah, I just gave my
that-
personal.
That you didn't.
Did you give your own personal to
Well,
Brian?
I initially thought it'd be better to put a $5 fee on property tax, or, property owners. But then you look, he explained to me with that, you have some people, a lot of folks own multiple properties. So they may get
Multiple tax
multiple
bills.
tax bills. So I don't know he said he thought that the best way would be to the water meters.
That's what
to-
Eddie said.
But
too.
with exceptions, I think, if you could do it that way, with exceptions to large hookup,
Right.
places that have multi,
Yeah. That was my-
residents
that's
that
my
live off the
understanding.
same meter.
Right.
Well, it gonna make you think that they're doing it, we're two different governments, city and county.
Mhm.
What makes you think that we ought to pay, when they make an ordinance, that we should follow the suit? What makes you think that?
Well, I
I'm
don't
in
know.
agreement with that lady over there.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, James, we don't have
yeah.
if the county makes a tax, the city can't do anything.
They have is that a state
That's a
rule?
state rule, we
Yeah.
can't do anything.
But we
We
can
don't
still
have no
have,
choice then.
we can still have input though.
Yeah, we can have input, and I think.
I mean, I'm there as
I
Ruth
can-
Jones
yeah.
citizen, when I go to the fiscal court meetings, as I come to the council meetings, I'm Ruth Jones citizen.
Right.
I can tell you when they come here a couple times, I would support the property taxes
Yes,
because it gets everybody. There's a lot of people have septic tanks, a lot of people have cisterns, a lot that are not gonna have to pay this.
yes.
And if you do own 20 houses, then you're probably renting them, so I don't see a problem.
Correct.
Most of these Airbnbs are getting away, because the ones that are building are not
Yeah.
getting sewer, they're not getting water,
Yep.
they're not.
Well, whichever, I think, system, whichever way you go, you're not gonna get everybody, I
But
mean,
get more than what
that
we're
would get
getting
more.
now.
well,
I
I
mean,
think
that's-
you would get more, on
With
the
the property
$5,
tax?
or
Property tax, you get every property.
$60 a year fee
$60.
on the property owner.
yeah.
But at the end
Then
of
you
the day,
have multiple, like he said, you still have people
This
multiple.
body here has no control over it.
I
unfortunately.
But
understand.
those
but
same
you
people
could-
have multiple water bills, so they're gonna
Yes.
pay it either.
Yeah.
Either way,
Yeah.
they're not gonna pay it just, they're not gonna not have to pay it.
First off, I'm Martin Merriman, and I'm a citizen and taxpayer too, so
Yep.
I'm worried about it myself, just like James is. When
Right.
you talk to the magistrate,
Yes.
is there not gonna be a public hearing about that? I thought they were required to have a public hearing.
I don't think
That,
they're,
they
they're,
were going to set one up.
Because
or they
the
gonna
most
set one up,
I heard.
or, it's not
Because-
required though,
Yeah.
is it?
I'm not sure of that, I won't.
If it goes on
I thought
property
there
tax
was
now, they'll
gonna
have
be
to
one.
require.
So it's not required the way
No,
they're doing
but
it.
if you
Like
go
on
on
taxes.
property tax, it's gonna be required.
Well-
You have to have public hearings,
Well, hopefully, and I would think that they have considered the equitable part for everybody, because if you take somebody has duplex or quadplex or Baker's Apartments,
Right.
it should be broke down for how many you own times whatever the 5, regardless of what the water bill thing is. I know that's attached to the water bill, but it should be whatever.
Sure.
So, yeah, that's very unfair that you and I should pay $5 and they're paying $5 for 100 units up there, or whatever it is. So I would think they would be working through that
They are,
concern.
they're talking about it, I don't
Yeah.
know where
So
they're
we're
at.
concerned like you are, the problem is, we're just kinda got our hands tied.
We all need to be vocal.
Well, I think
And
everybody, I
support,
think we've been
and-
pretty
and-
vocal.
and-
with
talked
that.
about
And the
it.
mayor
Yeah,
has,
we talked about it before that.
I
for
support
his
the property
personal
tax.
opinion, he's
Yeah.
fine with tacking it onto the water bill.
Yeah.
I hope that other people have made, Jason has made his feelings known.
Yeah. I like the, property or
But
fee on with the property tax myself. I thought that would cover more people.
But they're in a position where they get to make that decision, and I'm sure they feel like that's the best
I know.
route that they
Yes.
can take, so.
And that's the problem, it's easy.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know the
Yeah.
difference,
Yeah.
I need to be in their shoes, but, I mean, at least they're fixing it. I mean, they could not do anything and then it'd be in a
Well, and
crisis, so.
I would think it's just like us, they can amend something if it's not fixed correctly, they go back and amend it
Yes.
and try to get it corrected along the
Yeah.
way, cause it's a new thing.
It'd probably be, it's experimental, basically.
But then, at the end of the day, you know, there's money being generated annually to take care of 911, and that's our sole purpose for the county and for the city, to make sure we have the necessary, first responder services available. And
Yeah.
that helps in that direction. So,
And I totally agree with that, and you all understand, and
We
understand
understand
from the first day, I support the 911 system. We have to have it, we can't do
Sure.
without it.
Well, wonder why.
We agree, yeah, we
Wonder
agree.
why the 911 is getting to, but we all pay it on every phone bill you got. If you
Not
got
very
four-
much.
There's
If
a
you
lot
got
of,
4 cell phones, you pay on it. If you got a landline, you pay on it. We're paying that already.
I think when they lost that CSIS,
The
it
federal
CC,
funding.
the federal
Gone.
funding
The
is
federal
gonna go
funding
away.
is gone.
just, it tanked their budget on that.
Well,
didn't it?
won't he raise the tax then on everybody in the county then to spice that?
That's where you need to go over to the county meeting.
Yeah.
Well, they may not go have one. They might go pass it anyway.
No, they already
No,
have.
I think they
no,
listen to
He's
they
going to
have-
have a public hearing, right?
To
No,
put tax
I
on.
don't think so.
To
I think they're
add
gonna
tax.
have one.
I think they should.
They
Yes,
should.
I do too.
They were
Yeah, they
talking
should.
about it.
They haven't fully decided, you know, exactly how they're gonna go through this, so.
I believe they need to do some more thinking, don't you?
Well, they've been at it for quite some time now.
Yeah.
It's been quite a bit. so.
I don't think it's fair at all.
Well,
Well, and it's hard on all these counties. Madison County was unreal, the money they lost, because they were in that main area for the,
Well, the government is funding all that up there, isn't it?
was,
Taxpayers are.
Was, yeah.
but
Was.
not anymore. It's
Not
Was.
anymore, that's.
It's
all
coming to
coming
an
up.
end this year.
It's-
Because
yes,
all
it's-
that has been destroyed now, so we don't need, the protection from the chemical spill if we had it. So, I mean, Madison County, it was millions and millions of dollars they lost.
Wonder what they're gonna do with all the equipment they got up there then. They don't need it.
Up at,
All them box trailers and stuff sitting up there, a lot full of them.
that's ours.
They're gonna sell.
that's for
a lot.
emergency.
Yeah, that's emergency stuff.
Are they
Yeah,
gonna
I
sell
heard
the
it's gonna sell
rod?
a lot of it. I heard
I
it's
think
gonna
they're
sell a
gonna
lot
sell
of
the
it.
rod?
They'll sell a lot of it. They'll keep what we
They'll-
can use, I'm
What
sure.
they can
Yeah, I'm
use,
sure.
yeah.
I think they're going through some of that stuff right now.
Yeah.
Or donate it to other, like, search and rescue or stuff like that.
Donate it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. Thank you, Ruth. Anything else? Good?
No, thank you, I appreciate you all listening all this time, and I might be on it next month too, so just be prepared.
You're always welcome.
Yes.
I do indeed.
Anyone else on public
Got
comments?
one more.
Okay.
What's happened to the speed indicators?
They are
Are they
here.
ever gonna get up?
They're here.
Well, they ain't doing no good here.
That's true.
They need to be out there on the highway.
Yeah. We're,
Take them down for cold weather. Right,
What?
that's what Graham was saying, he takes
Oh,
them
we
down.
got two
over
new
no,
there.
we got two new
Oh,
ones.
That'll
Yeah.
fail all the time.
I think they've both been put together. They're just not up yet, James.
Well,
Sorry.
We need to get them up because the spring was here and the the traffic is picking up and
Yes,
it's
it
not
is.
doing any good.
It's,
They're flying through there, they don't pay no attention to nothing.
you're right about traffic picking up.
Do we put them
I'm
on
right.
the state highway?
We have to work with the state on that.
Speaking of that, we had this conversation a couple months ago, I think, about trying to get the reduction of the speed coming into town on that end. We already have it on the middle school, the high school side, where it's reduced down to 45 and then to 35,
right?
way at the edge of town. Here it's not. On this other end
I
down
know
there
you're
towards,
talking about.
towards Welks Cut, it needs to be 45 as soon as you come around the sharp curve, and then a reduction to 30. It doesn't get down.
It is 45 there, though, isn't it? No,
It's not. There's no signage. I just
No
drove
signage
out the
at
other day
all.
to look.
But after you come a little further, it's.
You
there.
come a mile in town before you're a half mile.
That's
from
right.
it. It should be
That's
slowing
true.
down way before. James lives down towards the end. It
I'm
needs to
telling
slow
you,
down before it gets to
They're
you.
flying by my house, and I've told you all that for a year now.
But
And all you
it
have to do is come out there and sit and watch.
just needs to, you have to have a progression. You can't just go from 55 to 35. So they need a 45 sign. The
Probably
35s
from
are up.
Probably from that bridge, after you come over the overpass bridge, should go to 45 until city
I'd say
limits.
before Welch is cut it.
Well,
You
just
think-
But I don't know
Well-
what city limits is.
It's
Right
right,
at-
it's right at Van Village.
yeah.
And
You
Brown,
know, right at
and Brown
Van
Street.
Village. I didn't know if it's on which side of the curve.
Yeah.
Yeah, just as you go past
Brown
Van,
Street? Okay.
yeah, Brown Street, right in that area.
I worked a couple
So
of fatal
really, it should
collisions.
start
They
down
don't
there
pass
at the
these
bridge.
zones out there,
Could
they
we
don't
do,
pay a bit of attention to that, they'll pass you right in on,
Can we
don't
do
pass
a,
you
would
flying.
it be necessary to do a resolution to send to the state highway department requesting?
We've already,
No, you
he's
have
been in
to
contact with
Yeah, I've been in contact with,
He's working with them.
Corbett called.
Gotcha.
It's not really what.
I mean, if
it's
you
not really
lived
what
out
we
there,
do.
you'd understand what
Yeah,
it
maybe we
is.
send
They're
out a
on your
formal,
back
like,
end before you look up in the mirror.
Well, I used to,
Later.
yeah, I just speak.
Scott Graham will tell you that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
They fly.
they don't push
It
it back.
won't speed up the process.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
All right, anyone else,
For
public
me.
comments? All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Mayor's report, just several things to bring to your attention. On May 17, May 19 will be the 56th district tournament for both baseball and softball here in Stanton. And it'll be, I think it's a Saturday and a Monday. Yeah, Saturday and a Monday.
Tuesday's a makeup day if it rains.
Okay, so there'll be, 4 teams represented in each of the districts?
And there are 4 teams, but it's softball and baseball.
Yeah, so
Eight.
8 altogether,
Eight
okay.
altogether.
So there's gonna be a lot of activity that particular weekend. The other one is, just mentioned the Bigfoot, which is, festival is 5:31. And starting at 10 o'clock in the morning, if I'm right on that, Brandon, is that correct? Yeah, I think.
10 to 7, correct?
Yeah, 10 to 6. So that will also be a very busy weekend, so.
And then graduation, then.
And
on
graduation is
The
Sunday.
next day, yeah.
So there's gonna be a lot of people coming into Stanton and staying around the area, so gonna be busy for all of us.
Busy weekend.
Yes. The other is, most of you are aware, we have put out for bids on the I-9 project Phase 1, which is, will be a sewer project, and the bids will be in 5/12, which is Monday. And then we'll probably, at some point in time, we'll have to make a we'll have to have a special meeting to proceed ahead with that. So as soon as we see the bids, see where they're at, we'll be working with our engineering company, Nesbitt, to do that. The other is we've advertised for bids for meter reading services. And again, that is set to deadline this 5/21. And we'll see how that goes here in the next week or so. Just an update on the safety for walkers update. This is kind of one of the things that we have. And that is a nice, Brian Derrickson did this for us. Didn't cost the city, the first bundle, didn't cost us anything for 250 plus. So I want to thank him for that. He also put it together. And it's already been on our city website and Facebook post. You are seeing it as a council here tonight. If you need any copies, anybody there in the audience, as well as our city council brought several for you to take if you would like to do so. We're also going to be distributing those to businesses and neighborhoods here in the next few weeks. So hopefully we'll get out there and get that done. And I think hopefully we'll find that. The vest, here's an update on the vest, which we obviously want a few of those. Carhartt has put them on hold right now until their fiscal year comes to an end, and then they'll make a decision. They are leaning to giving us some, but you know they didn't want to make a decision without the fiscal year coming to an end. So we should hear hopefully about that here in the next few months. The Stanton water improvements phases 2 and 3. 2 is moving ahead. That's the state earmark, and we'll be bringing that up the resolution here later on for us. The two things that it's going to do is, one, it's going to replace a Pendleton Street tank. It's going to be a 300,000 gallon tank versus now 200,000. And then the Bowen one, which has been leaking for some time, that's going to be repaired with this. And since it's a state earmark, it's already there for us. We're moving ahead quite rapidly on that, so it's a good thing. And then phase 3, again, the interesting thing is that when we put this in the project profile, they put it as both together, phases 2 and 3, so now we got to break that out. They're going to break that out for us, Bluegrass Ad, and then we'll be able to go ahead and apply for phase 3. Yeah, that's a federal earmark, and that will cover several different things for us. It's kind of an update if you're thinking about 2026. I know you're probably not, but the widening of the going up Furnace Mountain, they're going to widen that road there to 13, and for improving safety and the level of service, and they are looking to start that in March 15, 2026. And so myself and Richard, of course, we are working with them, you know, on that particular thing. All right. Next item is our fire hydrant order. So I think, Billy, can you take that, please?
Yeah, we kind of discussed this a couple meetings ago. Basically, we're just trying to get a policy in line to more or less spell out and coordinate what we would like to see as a city structurally for biannual fire hydrant inspections, and then every 5 years do a flow test. And I think the goal of the city that we kind of talked about is we want to try to use our fire department for that. And I think that it would be advantageous for the city and the fire department as well for us to pay them to do it, pay the actual members. As we know, they're all volunteer firefighters. They put in a lot of time and effort as they're volunteers. And I think that we, as opposed to contracting it out. Now, there's still an option in this policy that should the fire department not be able to do it, whether it be manpower or something, that the mayor could move forward and bid it out to other people. But I think that in order to stay on top of them and keep them up to date and fix, we kind of got to know what kind of state they're in to begin with. And I think that it just kind of lays that out. And then once we get this policy in place, then we can move forward with trying to work with the fire department and reach a memorandum of understanding or whatever, and discuss the funds and whatnot. But I think the policy is just kind of the framework to get that going. I kind of worked it up. Everybody's had a chance to review it. It's obviously definitely open to suggestions. If anybody has any suggestions on anything.
And most of it, I think most of us understand, but just letting folks know the last inspection was 2021. So, and I did talk with Stevie the other day, one of the fire, and he said they're going to start inspecting them again here pretty soon. And then we've got Scott Smith that's starting the process of looking at each one to see what he can do in terms of repair.
But this policy, it kind of says that, you know, it talks about the procedures for notifying the city when they're going to do it,
Right.
Working with the water department. That was a complaint that I had from the fire department in the past. I know they haven't done it in a while,
Right.
but the reason they kind of quit doing it, at some point in time, there was some disagreement with the water department on some areas when it comes to inspecting. And I think that's where you would step in and mediate
Right.
that,
Right.
or whatever. But it kind of spells out everybody's role, different things, leaves some options, some flexibilities. It's just a general guideline policy. It's not an ordinance or anything. So
Any comments from
Any
anyone?
questions or
on this?
anything like-
Any questions?
There, while we're on that subject, what's the guidelines now? Used to they went around and flushed the hydrants. Is they not
So-
restrictions to doing that now?
Yep, so the NFPA is what regulates that. That's an association, for fire protection. And you were actually only really required to inspect them once a year. But I think as, maybe you suggested it, we kind of agreed upon it, that we want to do it twice a year.
You need
Um,
to.
And once every 5 years, you are required to do what's called a flow test. And that's when they bring out the gauges, they hook
Right.
it up and they
That
get
one
all
in front of my house hadn't been worked in 3 years or 4, I guarantee you. And when the jury, when the jury made his dad, and we all was in the volunteer department years ago, fire department, we flushed them at least 3 times a year. We have meeting night, we all go out and take the trucks and the wrenches and we flush all the hydrants.
Gotcha.
I know that, they follow in turn.
Yeah, we've got the entire list, so we're very aware of, those that are not working. Those, some of them just need to be flat out replaced.
There's some bad ones out there, I will tell you.
And some of the budget for that is in that phase 3 federal earmark. But we're trying to get some of it in phase 2 with the state earmark. So if we can get a little bit, then it'll help us along the way.
But we gotta know what's broke and
Yeah.
what's broken in an area, and that way we can know if we got, one here and like none of them work over here, maybe we fix these over here.
Right.
But we've gotta
Yeah.
get that data first, and that's what this kind of
That's
does.
years ago, Richard Wilson he come from Lexington and worked this all, didn't he?
Just a few things.
Yeah, Mark.
Tommy, your dad was in it, and we flushed them off,
Yeah.
made
Okay.
sure they worked.
Mark?
Okay, so, yeah, I'm a believer in doing it twice a year. I can't believe y'all did it 3, that's great. I can't think of anything more important, than our fire hydrants working for the safety of these people
Why
in
the
town.
hydrant sitting there, you won't work,
Yeah,
you choose.
that would be, a crisis. We don't need that. So, I like everything here. I think it's important that we do that at least a minimum of 2 times a year.
Is
There's
that-
some
is that-
language,
is
there's
that
some
in there?
language in here that just needs, I think,
It's last.
addressed.
Slicing?
And I made a few notes, I don't know if you want to go on them or if you just want to get separate, I don't want to hold up the meeting, but it's just about language. It's about, like, it's called the Stanton Fire Department, it's actually volunteer fire department, but if we could put in parentheses like, they're not city employees, and they're not city employees. They don't get a regular paycheck, do they, and on health insurance or?
No,
Okay,
just
they're
on,
volunteers,
just on
so-
run.
That would come separate in a memorandum of understanding.
Right, but in this particular order that you want, if we just put in parentheses that just identify that they're not city
Yeah,
employees,
he's volunteer.
and change, and just add the voluntary, Stanton Volunteer Fire Department for clarification purposes, because they are not employees of the city. I'm trying to relieve us of liability, and I don't wanna paint us in a corner on this thing.
Correct.
And the other is, there's on the, section 7 on the funding clause. Excuse me. It says, second sentence, it says, the city council shall, and I'm big on these shall and should,
Probably
may.
should be
Should, because it says, it's in conflict with the next part of the sentence. It says, shall prioritize funding for fire hydrant maintenance within its annual budget, subject to available resources and competing municipal
Right.
priorities. Well, the shall is in conflict with subject to available. That's kind of, that doesn't really go together, so it should say,
What do you
it
suggest
just
there?
say should, just
Should.
replace shall with should.
Mhm.
And the end of it, I think the way I read it, the mayor basically has the discretion at the end of it, is that correct? The way it's written in there,
It's
or?
over here, yeah.
Yeah, so I think the idea would be, we would agree to fund it, then we kind of leave it on him to
Right.
manage it.
Yeah, so-
To enforce the policies, that's kind of what he's gotta do.
That's all I really had. There was just a couple of things, just, I think were language,
Yeah.
and I think the rest of it looks pretty
10
good.
days notice, pretty good for,
Yeah,
they can't just show up one day on a Saturday morning and say, well, we're gonna go
Oh.
inspect them. They've gotta tell the mayor of the city within 10 days, hey, we're
Because
gonna.
I work with them now,
Yeah.
I go over and do
Yeah.
that, so.
Cause there may be a bowl of water or something we need to
Yeah.
get in
and
place.
the last thing I had, and I told it up, but y'all tell me, I put on here, time limit on any repairs should be added, yes or no? Should we have a time limit,
What
like,
page are you
when,
on?
when they identify that there's a problem or something's not
Oh, I
working?
see, whether it's
Do
30
we,
days or 60
yeah,
days.
do we give them X amount of days or months, or what's the time limit?
So I don't think the fire department
He
fixing it.
is.
Yeah, we're the ones who've got to fix it.
Okay.
We're just trying to get the data. Right now, we don't have the data of what works or what don't work, or
But I think it needs to have a date. I mean,
we got
I
data for
agree.
2021.
Where's that located?
At some point in time, we can add the amount of time that the repairs to be made.
Yeah, we could probably put in there within 30 to 60
Because
days
if
or
we
something
don't,
like that.
I mean,
Yeah,
there's nothing
yeah,
obligated.
because you can't measure whether
What
what
is-
is done.
What,
Yeah.
what section do you want to put that in?
I don't,
Where you at on that?
I'm down here in standardized reporting, basically. It says recommendations for repairs or
Okay.
maintenance, which it made me think, if there's maintenance, then what's their time limit to get it repaired?
Yeah, because I look at number 2 there, you have a time frame for when they put
They've got to
the
give us the
inspection
report
time.
within 10 days. So like, let's say they do it on like a Saturday, they've got 10 days to turn that report over to us. Now, whatever we do with the report's up to us, and it'll probably be separate. This is just to get the data.
Right.
So I think, whatever we act with whatever urgency, I don't know.
Well, I'm just saying, if it's not gonna be included in this, municipal order, then it needs to be included somewhere.
We probably should have some type of policy within our water division of, I'm not sure on that.
Well, I know anytime we have like a water break here, we try to get it done as soon as we can, you know, I mean. we-
Yeah.
Well, the thing would be though, find
It
the parts.
depends on the gravity of the situation.
Well, it just, I always think like state, you know, if somebody's coming in and doing a report or inspection, usually they say, okay, here's what's wrong, and you have X amount of days to get it fixed.
Right.
Kind of obligates you, and I don't wanna, not obligate, I'm not trying to get us in
Right.
trouble, but I don't,
Right.
I also don't want us to just, let it
Right.
go right over our head
So,
either.
like Dixie was saying, there are some of them that are probably, parts are
How
completely
about-
obsolete, or it might be really hard,
to-
long lead times to get certain valves or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know which document needs to go in, but what's the
Yeah.
purpose in doing this? if we're
Right,
not
yeah,
gonna
it's
make
gotta
sure
have
it's
a,
fixed?
I got an idea.
I agree, yeah,
How about
it's
this?
gotta have a time limit on it.
Well,
or-
how about it's required to be on the city council agenda following the report? And we'll take this report and we can kind of bark out what we want to
And
fix
then,
in.
And once we get all this done and they're all working, I think we have an extra fire hydrant and we go at it like a water leak. If we know one don't work, we fix it immediately.
Yeah.
Right, but I think a good
But I
thing
mean,
for
we're
this
not to
report
that.
is require us to review and discuss it at the meeting immediately following the inspection.
Yeah.
well, even if we put language like immediately or as soon as possible.
AS,
just
I'd
don't
say
put a time limit on
ASAP
it.
would be the.
Yeah, I think that would
correct
cover,
language.
kind of catch
On the
all.
reporting, I'll add a bullet.
Now, are we going to put some money in the budget
Well,
for this?
That's what I was fixing to say, and if we, are we paying individuals, or are we giving it to the, that can make a difference in our
Well,
liability.
right now, it's the independent contractor that's doing
Okay.
it, along with our, volunteers, and they getting paid by the hour, whatever that
Okay.
is.
Well, then legally, I think we have to ask for a liability, because if they get hurt, it's an our,
Doing it.
and then with the volunteers, if we pay them,
Well, Scott we have his liability insurance, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but he's talking about the fire department.
I'm talking about the
Respected.
people
Oh, okay,
that
got
do
you.
it.
My
If we're
fault.
paying
Well,
them
do they have
individually.
liability insurance for the fire department? It may be better to just pay the fire department and then they can
Let
pay
them
them.
do that, let them pay the
So
people
give them
that do
so
it.
much money, is that what you're saying?
I'm saying give it to the fire department, they're still covered under our liability.
Okay.
City,
And then they
And
can
let-
pay
they
their,
can pay
They
whoever,
can pay out of
They
there,
They can
okay,
divvy it out
gotcha.
however.
like they do the fire runs and meetings.
that way we,
Yeah, that
Okay.
way.
But that part will come in the MOU that follows this. Like you're gonna have to sit down with Jimmy Mack and y'all, and the city, and we're gonna have to get some type of agreement with the
Yeah,
fire
but
Well,
come
that-
into
and I-
their budget and then their budget would
I
cover
think
it.
a reasonable
Does the county do that?
$1,000 every time they do it.
Yeah, I think so too.
What's that?
$1,000 every time.
No,
they do
we're
it.
responsible.
Unless it requires more hour,
And
more
the-
than
fix
the
it,
city
like,
of
the
Stanton
contractor's
Park, we all
different
get-
than,
Yeah,
James,
this
that's
is
all
just to
on
get the
us.
data. We need a reliable flow of
Any,
data.
any city of Stanton fire hydrant is on us. It doesn't matter if it's in the city or in the county, if it's on our
Is that
water.
the mowing, do y'all still responsible for?
yeah.
Well, Bowen would
We-
be under
Well,
House Valley. It's
No.
all
Well,
we-
no, we
No.
go
The Cow
all the way
Creek.
to the rock quarry.
We go to
Okay,
Cal.
so that,
Anything out that's covered by our water,
and
then we
then,
take care of.
There's one set out there, J.M. Smallwood house, it sat there for 10 years and never was hooked to a water line. I know that to be a fact.
Maybe we'll pay more. But that's a separate agreement.
That's a
There's got to be
separate-
some negotiations on that.
Anything else to, so you'll take
No.
this back and kind of
Um,
rework it, or
well, I
you
think
want a
it's
reading,
good.
or? you-
So-
I think we can,
It don't need a reading, it just needs to be passed, but I've got the notes, I think Mark suggested a good thing, I think we could, the report's required to be, or not, the report's gonna be reviewed at the following council meeting, we'll add that in there.
So with the
Yeah.
changes,
Then we'll-
that we can go ahead
At
and make
least,
a
at
motion?
least key us on
Yeah.
that there's
Make
an
a
issue.
motion with
Yeah.
the changes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll make that
Yeah, that
motion.
keeps
Okay,
us.
motion here, got a second on that? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. All right, thank you for doing all the work on that.
Some of that.
Now, the next one, I think we've made some, did you make the changes on the fireworks ordinance?
I did.
Billy? Okay.
I made them as we discussed. I think it's a good start. We may need to tweak it in the future.
Okay.
But I think it's a good start.
Did we have a first reading on that? Okay, so this will be the second reading. I have a motion for the second reading of the ordinance regulating the use of fireworks within the city limits.
I'll
All right.
make a motion.
Second?
oh, no,
Second.
hold
All
on,
right.
just a second, sorry.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
The one that, we talked about the New Year's Eve,
Where at?
we stopping them at 11 p.m. Everybody's gonna fire them at
At
midnight.
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 Gotcha.
It just needs to be amended.
I think it just needs to be amended to maybe,
Where's it at?
it's on the first page.
Third page.
Like till the 2nd of January?
I may have missed that.
Oh,
I had some
well,
notes.
that's
I'd
it.
say
Number three?
maybe 12:30,
12:30 to January 1st, yeah, something like that.
just because they couldn't be
That's
out.
when
I
What
mean,
about the
who's
actual
awake
clock?
at 12:30?
midnight.
July 4th.
Not me.
I'm fine with the.
There's less,
But I just,
So what are you
less
suggesting?
on New Year's.
on New Year's when people do it, it's at midnight.
Midnight,
Yeah.
right.
When the thing, and I just don't, they'll
And
be
they-
breaking the ordinance if we don't put.
Well, they
12:30.
So you wanna give them an extra
They
half
would do
hour?
it right at midnight, and they usually don't go,
12:30.
people usually don't go overboard
Yeah,
as
give
much.
it 30 minutes or an hour or whatever,
Yeah.
let
Yeah.
them do.
So, it would be a motion with that change.
Yeah, and I'll
Okay.
send that over to Teresa
So
after,
who-
or she can make it on there.
Okay, I have a motion on the second reading with the change that we've discussed. All right, second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carried.
Good catch. I missed it. I had a pile of notes, but I was
Yeah,
trying to get it on there.
Thanks for slowing me down, Tommy. I'm on a roll. Okay, the budget amendment ordinance, this will be our second reading. Pretty much as we had the first time, so I have a motion for acceptance of the budget amendment for our fiscal year 24-25 for second reading.
I'll make that.
All right, second.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Uh,
Any opposed? No, motion carried. The next is our health insurance renewal. You should have received that also. Our percentage of change is 4% increase. Basically going up about $460 per month. Do we need some kind of a,
We have to accept the,
we just have to,
and decide what we want to pass along, or do we want to eat that 4%? I put 5% in the budget. So
okay,
Do we have room to eat it?
anytime below 5%, we usually,
we're good.
we're good to.
Right.
That's just my opinion. I'm not gonna speak for everybody, but with the way it is keeping employees and trying to pay them, I think we should eat 4%.
I don't
4%?
think-
You
yeah,
good?
I don't want to pass it along to employees if we can help it.
So leave it at 99% employee and 75% family.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and no, we don't want to raise this, because sometimes we've said you gotta do 2%.
Right.
But that's when we had 18, 20% increases. I think if we have this small, we can afford, because we put 5% in the budget.
budget,
So
yeah.
All right, I'll make a motion.
We have a motion and a second for our renewal, health insurance renewal. Okay, second.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carried. Okay, we need to pass a resolution for Phase 2 water project. It's the City of Stanton accepting the grant, approving the grant assistance agreement, authorizing the amendment of the City of Stanton's annual budget, and authorizing the representative to sign all related documents. And of course, this is the state earmark that we are going to be getting to get the new tank and as well as repair the old one. So do I have a motion on to accept that resolution?
I'll make the
All right,
motion.
second. All right, all in favor? All right, any opposed? Motion carried. The next is our KTC investment funds. This goes back to last year. These are CDs that we have. We put them all together, and they're with the Kentucky Trust Fund. You should have received a paper on that, correct? You should have got each of you. And we, basically, the interest we used for various projects. Last year, we used it to purchase a 1-ton dump truck, which has been great for the city. I'm just telling you right now.
Great.
We had some happy campers when it was snowing.
Yeah.
You know, so we were out there, and so it's been a good thing. I usually make a recommendation. I mean, I'm not opposed to any other recommendations, but this year, one of the things that's a fast-growing sport throughout the country is pickleball. And if we could take, I think it's, the one is matured, we still got one more to mature in June. So it's gonna be somewhere between $18,000 and $19,000. So I would like to recommend that we use that as kind of seed money for the pickleball courts. We're gonna have 3 of them out there on the old, what was it?
Skateboard.
The old skateboard. And you talk about saving a lot of money. That fact that we got that slab, that concrete slab, is saving
Yeah, man.
the city a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a big slab.
Yeah, 100 by 56.
Right.
So it's 5,600 square feet out there. So do any discussion about that or a motion?
Park board's like good, like they like.
Yeah, he's been to the park board.
Yeah.
It's just been a matter of where getting the money, where we could get the money. We've already got quotes on the fencing.
Uh,
'Cause
And,
it
and
will-
we're getting another one that's coming up too.
Yeah, it will need a fencing because it's pretty high on that one.
So do I have a motion to take the KTC investment funds that will be coming our way to use for pickleball courts?
I'll make the motion.
All right, second. All right, all in favor? All right. Any opposed? All right, motion carried.
Yeah, I don't have a clue.
The tourism interlocal agreement, Hugh Stump, the director, is here. So Hugh, can you give us an update on that, please?
Yeah, absolutely. We received that from y'all a couple of weeks ago. We've been working hard to go through that and see what we can look at to get things nice and neat. We've had a special meeting to go over that, and we expect to have a reply to y'all for by our next meeting, which is the third Tuesday.
You'll have a meeting, then our next month meeting, you think you'll have something ready for us?
I would think so, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's our goal, is that there's no reason to drag,
Okay.
Well, we may want to have a meeting after your meeting.
Yeah, you may, yeah.
Yeah, before the-
Yeah,
before
once we
the
get the agreement back from
Yeah,
you guys.
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That way we ain't going into next
Yeah,
month.
we're gonna have to have a special meeting anyway with a couple of things, so we can include that. All right, thank you.
So it'll be on our agenda for review this next meeting.
You wanna say anything about the, big event coming up, Bigfoot? Brandon's here, they're both, I guess, involved in that. Everybody's excited about that?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a great time. It's gonna be a little weather dependent. Of course, most everything's outside, utilizing both Stanton City Park and Lions Club Park. So spreading the wealth around a little bit. I got lots of civic organizations helping out with various things, and churches involved with shuttles and such. Got over 100 vendors, looking at 10 food trucks. We didn't want to have too many food trucks. We want to have people spending their money in our restaurants and such.
Yes.
So we don't want to make it too easy for them. But it's all free, everything's free. We were able to, using the tourism commission funds, we didn't have to charge for parking, we didn't have, even though we're, using the high school lot, we'll start there, and if that fills up, we'll move out to the Lions Club. Masonic Lodge is doing parking and helping with shuttles. Lions Club folks will be doing the parking out there. So I think we've got a lot of logistics, squared away. I think it's going to be, it'll be an adventure.
I've been making my rounds out first responders. I met with Middle Fork, Stanton Fire, and I was talking with Clay City Fire. I think they're all going to be attending the next meeting, the planning meeting this Monday, to kind of go over everything, tell them where to go,
nights ago on Channel 36, it'll be out in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So you'll see some stuff happening. There's really no point in doing a lot of advertising, 6, 10, 12 weeks out.
Yeah.
People, they're very short frame of mind when it comes to that.
So I'm going on Zero Rock 103 next Thursday on the morning show to speak about it, kind of draw up some local support and stuff regionally. Because we got a lot of people coming in from out, way out of state and stuff. So I was trying to draw up some support from a little bit closer to home. I'm going on the Morning Buzz in Irvin on the 29th, which is kind of real close, but still, it's the same thing, trying to get some local folks coming out.
And our social media presence with Facebook is through the roof. We're actually doing boosted posts and things now, where we're spending some money on it. Before it was all organic and free, and we're over 20,000 people that are interested. I believe over 1,000 that are say they're coming. Of course, we don't expect that to be, that many coming, but from Facebook. But all over the Midwest, up into the north, going out to into West Virginia, Tennessee, Georgia. So it's gonna, if we don't get even physical bodies here, we're getting the word in the name of Stanton and the Red River Gorge out there. And that's one of our big goals, is to tie those things together, so when people think about the gorge, they're thinking about Stanton and where you go to get to the gorge. So.
Any questions from the council? Any comments? Okay. One that is not on the agenda, but happened today about 3 p.m. Received a letter from our city attorney that he is resigning his position as the city attorney of Stanton. So I'm not sure whether we need to proceed with probably a special, call meeting to address that a little further, unless you have some.
What do we need to address? Just
We're gonna have to look for,
Yeah.
definitely something we don't wanna go without long.
Right.
Right.
can we go ahead and start advertising for interest?
Yeah,
But-
that's really the only say that council has in hiring anybody is the city attorney. That's, otherwise you.
Right.
So, yeah, we just have to go out and look. I would prefer to get somebody that has some city law,
Right, municipal law would be good.
and I don't think we'll get it locally because there just ain't nobody
Yeah.
here to do it.
If you guys are okay, I can, call like Mouser and Mayor, Al Botts, he's pretty, well, knows a lot of folks. Somebody from Cynthiana I know, KLC, our Kentucky League of Cities, there in Lexington. If you guys are okay with me going ahead and calling, I'll be
They
glad
got a
to
job
call.
board, don't they?
Yeah, they
You'll
do.
see, you can post it on there.
Post it on that, correct.
I think it's a necessity. We gotta
If you
advertise
want
for
me
it
to get
before we-
started.
Yeah, I'm not sure, this is kind of a new area, because he's been
Very.
on for almost 20 years.
Right.
I'm not sure if we should advertise it, because that's, it's not like lowest bid gets it kind of thing.
No, it's
You
he'll
want one
pick one,
one
appoint it, or you
experience.
just say yea or nay. So
But,
that'll work.
yeah, if you want to vet some people or
Trying to
whatever, I
find
don't know about
somebody you wanna
posting the
appoint.
position, but if you want to,
Yeah,
I don't know if legally we need to post it.
no,
Okay.
you just need to appoint somebody in front of us at some point.
Okay.
But if you don't post, how are you going to get applicants? You have to
So
post.
it's not really a job, it's more of an appointed ordeal. You can go either way. I think that as far as the council, we let him do his duties to find
Exactly.
somebody.
Exactly.
And then once he finds somebody, and wants to appoint them, it's more like a Senate. This is one of the few things that we get to do. We either say yea or nay from the confirmation. He don't bring us like 5 people and say pick one.
Yeah.
He brings one person that
Right.
he wants, and we either say yea
Understand.
or no.
And,
So, but however he wants to find that
Word
person,
gets
should be up to him.
Yeah.
I think.
again, my understanding is it's more as needed, is that correct? Or part-time, or how do you want me to frame that? Scott?
That's something we can talk about, I guess, in the.
Yeah, we're gonna have to work out some details on
Yeah, a
that,
little
because
bit.
this, like I said, it's new territory, and to
Okay.
sit here and finalize something.
No.
Yeah, well, I'm not looking, I'm
And
just
the
kind
fact
of
that
looking.
Scott in his letter
Well-
has said that he would stay with us until
Yeah,
we
he
had
did.
one, so
Yeah.
that helps out a lot. But I want to publicly say that I want to thank Scott on behalf of the city for for what he's done for the last 20 years or 18 or whatever it is. He's been through a lot of mayors, a lot of city councils, a lot of ups and downs. A lot of times people didn't agree. I think sometimes people forget that he gives a legal opinion that is not binding, he's not on the council, but what he did a lot of it out of the goodness of his heart. And I've been on 4 years, and this is my 3rd term, and he has been the most valuable thing that resource that I've had access to since I've been here, because I didn't know anything about city government, and he would at least tell me what's going on, but he always left it up to me, and I felt to us, to make the final decision. That's what he did. And I appreciate everything he did, and I'm sorry to see him go, and it's gonna be hard for us to find somebody even close to what Scott did for us.
True. A lot of experience.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of times that lawsuits could have took this city under. James was part of one of them with the mulch.
We had
I mean,
been hanging.
there was-
Yeah, the mulch.
We had, if it's gonna happen right
that
now,
wasn't nothing
because
we
we don't have
had
any
about.
opinion in litigation, so, I mean, if you can say it's a
Well,
good time.
We had Ben Hayes in Winchester,
Yeah,
and he was not like Scott would be, I'll tell you that.
And that's another thing, we're gonna have to get an accounting of our current status on whatever we've got filed at the courthouse for whatever it is.
Yeah.
He went over that with me a
Yeah,
little bit
and
today.
make sure that everybody's on the same page, and that we make sure that all that information gets passed to the next one, whoever it is, and that they can handle that
Yes.
too. So that's a lot of things to consider.
Yes,
What's the date of this resignation?
today,
Today?
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
It's none of my business.
should definitely be
I
trying
wouldn't
to
go
find
too far
somebody
away
in the
from
meantime.
home if I could.
Yeah.
You
I
won't
think
get
you
as
should
good a
definitely
service.
be trying to find somebody in the meantime.
Yeah, I will.
Well, and like you say, if you contact like local mayors from
Right.
Winchester, Mount Sterling, they
right.
may,
They may know somebody.
put feelers out or know people.
Or they
that-
could even help us out in the
Yeah.
meantime
Yeah.
while we're searching. You
Yes.
never know,
They could.
so.
All right. The next one is a review of April year-to-date budget. We are a couple more months left. We're at 83%. I looked at where we're at. Our income is at 72%. And then our expenses are at 64.3%. So we're actually doing really, I think, fairly well. And then you can compare some of the other areas where they're at. So overall, I think it's a good report. Anything from the council? All right,
I think it was it.
go ahead, Jim, with Tom.
I think, you know, a lot of this, you see the 64, a lot of this will come toward the end of the year, but other than, you know, when we pay stuff, but it's a pretty good guess, I think.
The water bill doing okay? Extra we're paying,
Yeah,
doing okay?
yeah, we watch that one pretty close.
And then, yeah. And of course, you know, we're still waiting to hear about any increase possibly, and I'm hoping sooner than later. I'm figuring it's probably gonna come fiscal year, that's usually the way they've done it.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything. So, but sewer is at least a year off, looks like. So, and then Rumpke goes up a little bit.
Yeah, when is
It's
No,
next year,
Run,
we
we
got
got one more year.
one more year. So, all right.
have we got anything for the water meters yet? You know,
We haven't got any,
Bids.
That's what concerns me.
yeah, no bid yet. Okay, I have a motion to accept the review of the April year-to-date budget. All right, second.
Let's see.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. Next one is the homestead roads. So you should have a resolution that was prepared by Scott, I believe. Have you looked through it? Any comments, any thoughts at this point in time?
Well, this,
Jason, I know that's a biggie for you.
Yeah, I think it, everything sounds good, and, you know, how he's got it laid out and worded. There's a lot of, you know, whereas as to what the fiscal court's gonna do, you
Right,
know.
yeah. There's
But
no-
I've talked with our magistrate, we've talked with our judge and everybody, and several of us have discussed it with Eddie and whatnot.
Right.
So I know it has been, it is something they're gonna do. I don't know their time frame,
That's the big.
Yeah, I think it's near future. That's
We want
about,
to give a little overview about what's
Yeah,
changed, so
it-
everybody
what-
can kind of know.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know,
you know
what,
what's-
what is this proposal?
The proposal here, or the proposal is that basically the city will help
Yeah.
up to $25,000.
Up to 25,000. And again, this is in
For,
conjunction.
for the road.
Yeah, for the
Right.
road repair there at Homestead. And then,
We've done
of
it
course, we're
before.
working in conjunction with the county on this. That's-
It'll
But
be
the
a
key
joint.
is they have to move ahead
Yeah.
with
We're
getting.
gonna help
I don't know
them.
if it's getting recorded.
We're
or-
working together, and we're gonna help them, and they are, in long term, are gonna annex the county the roads through there.
That's their end goal.
That's the end goal.
The other roads that attach right into that little area
Right.
are already county roads, Suns Road and, Cats Cove, I think it's what it's called, Cades Cove. But, and then, so that whole little group of roads would be county roads.
But they've already started the process, so.
That,
Yeah.
it's already been deeded to them,
It's already
right?
No,
fairly
no,
far
it
along,
hasn't.
so.
We haven't deeded, given
Yeah.
it to them to deed?
Yeah, that was done back
Yeah,
the first
But
year.
they have not recorded.
They have
the
not
deed.
recorded, that's the key.
But the main thing is they're gonna get the roads fixed.
And
We're gonna
you
get
know,
some-
I'm so glad to
So-
hear that people finally, thank you for bringing it to the city's attention and everybody pushing it through. You guys have
Well-
been dealing with this for almost 20 years. It's time that it's resolved once and for all.
It's- it-
Mark?
And,
Oh,
and
sorry.
it was it's a joint effort.
Yes.
We've done a lot of work with our fellow, with our fiscal court members and our, a lot of, kind of teamwork, working together and trying to help the folks out. I think everybody has always wanted to, just trying to find the right agreement and iron things out. But I think the progress has been incredible, the support from.
What are these other developers gonna say about it? That's followed the rules through the year.
We can't help that. That's something
No.
done 20 years ago. Now we've got a pretty sophisticated zoning, pretty confident it's not gonna happen again, but we can't dwell on that. It's not those people's fault. I mean,
Sure.
yeah, it's the developer fault, but imagine being in their
If the ones
shoes.
that developed it didn't wanna go along with the city back then.
But we can
They
sit
done
there
it on
and,
their own, I was on the council.
yep, or we can sit there and kick on that and dwell on that all day, or we can just fix it and move forward and make sure it don't happen again, which
You
is
ain't
the way
worried
I would
about
go.
getting lawsuits over it, from some of the prior ones that done it by ordinance?
Not concerned
You
about that.
might be surprised.
Well, the problem is that this has been a problem for almost 20 years. It needs to be resolved.
I don't think we punish them for
I
it.
know,
No.
but that, you don't look at it like that. The developers that went with the rules years ago,
I agree with you. In
All
fact,
right.
if we had a building inspector that was taking care of this way back when, we wouldn't have had it happen in the first place,
Okay.
well, I don't
All
know
right.
about that.
okay?
Do I have a motion
I hope
for-
we get by without a lawsuit.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of,
Gotcha.
the part of the resolution is saying that we'll give up 25, but we're not allowed.
The county's adopting the roads.
The
Yeah,
county-
yeah,
They're
county-
going to take it over, right?
The county is, yes.
That's our understanding, yes.
We're giving
And
them
you
a,
all are released from doing anything
yes,
except you're
Yes.
gonna help them a little
we're
bit.
gonna give
Yeah.
them a
And you
one-time
got a
fee.
document
Yeah.
saying that
Yeah.
they won't come back and bite you.
Yes,
Right.
that's what the resolution.
That's
You
why we're not
might
concerned
get
about it.
by.
Yeah.
But yet the homes are still part of the city,
We're
correct?
learning
The
from our
land
past.
Your
owners and
street
roads.
was supposed to be 25 foot wide with ditches on it. There's supposed to be so much dense grade, so much blacktop width,
Right.
18 or 20 foot. None of that happened up there, none of it.
But the county
You
can
got,
make
all
an
you
exception.
got septic tanks too in it.
No,
You don't-
no.
You don't have no sewer?
Yeah, we have sewer.
Yeah, but you don't have no sewer, city sewer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
When did they lay that?
yeah. It's always been there since since 2007.
It was,
Hey, that
Since
that
I
one got
was-
by you, buddy.
They didn't have it at that time.
They've had it ever since Jason.
2007, I've lived there, so I know since November of '07, they've had city
07?
sewer.
it was.
Finally, James, you got just right through.
Well, who paid, the city didn't pay for it, did it?
I have no idea.
Well, they went to law, they
City had to pay for it.
I do know one thing, they come to the council and I was sitting right there with them all. And they wanted, us to lay the water pipes in the subdivision.
Right.
We said, no, sir, you're not doing it all, we don't do none of it. We'll run I think it's 500 feet or something to your property line and plug it off, and you're gonna do the rest of it. And they done that. How about the sewer? Who done that? They hired somebody to do it? You've been out here all that time, don't know?
You wasn't here back then, were you?
There ain't no lift stations up there. Is it all drained downhill?
It's gravity
I bet
there.
you half of it's septic tanks up there.
You was on the council, you
Yeah.
approved it.
We didn't approve no money for nothing.
Well, somebody did.
I think they
Somebody
run-
put city sewer in, I know that. I don't have a clue who did it.
Well, I'm
It's there.
I know one lady.
Well, now, wait a minute, the developers might have went ahead and done it on their own, I don't know about it. I wasn't aware
They
of
could
it.
have done that, yeah. Usually it's the developers, I know in the cities I've been in, it's always the developers that are responsible for that kind of
Well,
stuff.
I ain't
so.
been on there for about 24 years, but I do know that they come to us, they thought they was gonna con us into laying all that water pipe. And no, sir, you ain't started, you ain't gonna do it all yourself.
James, you'll let that happen. Okay, thank you.
Paying.
Do I have
Paying the city sewer bill.
Do I have a motion to?
Hey, maybe the city has done something illegal already then, in between.
Thank you, James.
We
We have
might
a
be careful.
motion for the resolution regarding road improvements for the Homestead subdivision. Do I have that? All right, got it. Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. And again, I had another late one come to me. This is a Stanton Tourism a recommendation. It came yesterday, so I wasn't able to get it on the agenda. But this comes from the Kentucky Restaurant Association. Joey Casey resigned from the tourism on April 14, 2025. And Pete Thomas has sent 3 names, and the name that I am bringing to the council for approval tonight is Evan Kinser. Everybody know Evan?
I know it.
Yeah, they recommended him a couple times.
Yes, they did, and
Yeah.
then he's finally made it through. Do I have a motion for that?
Yeah,
All
I
right.
make a motion.
Okay, second? Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? All right, motion. So we need a motion for a closed session regarding real estate. Do I have a motion for that?
Make a motion.
All right, second? All right, all in favor? All right, motion carried. So we need a,
We're gonna leave, everybody can stay in.
yeah, we'll go into my
Yeah,
office.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be good if we did.
Oh.
Sit on down.
Come on down.
I'm gonna be mayor. He's trying to move up.
See, I'm moving out, he's moving up.
I think there's a TV show about that. wasn't
Yeah, there is, yeah, moving on up.
Jeffrey.
Can I have a motion to come back into, out of closed session?
Come out of
Second. All right, all in favor? Any opposed? And no action was taken. Okay, I have a motion for adjourn, oh, sorry, Tommy.
Just park.
Yep.
One, kind of, we're getting ready for Bigfoot, of course, but
Yeah.
everything else, the concessions this year are seeing record sales. So the renovation, I don't know if the renovation, the upgrading some of our equipment.
Don't think it helps, yeah.
But we're at least at 3 times better this time of year than we were last year. So it's been a big.
It's been busy. I mean, every time we go to a high school ball game, you know, I saw
It's
Mark
crazy,
there.
ain't it?
Oh, yeah. It's,
Yeah,
and
last
and
night
I'm
was
thankful we
unbelievable.
have that extra parking.
It's
now.
crazy, but it's really nice to see.
It is.
I mean,
It's really
$800
buzzing.
is a small night.
If you're looking for anybody in town, just go up there. and find
Yeah.
them.
You
I was up there running around
You
last night.
sure will.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And
it's-
the other big improvement is the home field dugout. That's
Yeah.
got new siding.
Yeah.
It really looks good. And then we've also fixed the trailer, so there's, he got it all fixed up, so everything's looking good.
Yeah. The ditch is cleaned out around the new lot.
Yeah.
All the poison ivy on.
Are we putting anything, I'm kind of getting off track a little bit, are we putting anything related to I know we did one, but should we continue to post on our site, the city site, about the construction and up at Hall
Yeah.
Lane, and just to make sure
Yeah, we will.
everybody
Yeah,
gets visible?
yeah, anything that coming up now, it's going
Yeah,
on.
'cause that may change a little bit.
Yeah.
I guess I have a question about that. I mean, will there be access on May 31st from that top level? I just wanted to
June
confirm that.
2nd,
I heard
yeah.
that. I just wanted to make sure.
June
Things
2nd.
like that,
You're
right.
good until June 2nd.
Okay.
Just
So
say it.
we're gonna have a problem if not.
What?
But Billy as a trustee, it's not something we have to vote on.
No, yeah, we're going to appoint on the Parks and Rec, Billy Rice is gonna be a trustee there.
Same thing as I do, but the meetings you're required to have one there, sometimes it gets tough to be at every single.
And I'm gonna try to help out as much as I can, able-bodied,
We need a
kind of,
first and
kind of
second.
help like what Tommy
Huh?
does.
Do we need a first and second on that?
No, I just.
Willie just appoints that.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't vote, we're just there for
Okay.
questions.
And just constant
Just being good
compliments about the cleanliness and the way the city park looks. I mean,
Yeah.
from people, not even from here, you know, they're coming and visiting, they're just like, wow, this is great.
It's kind of
And
a long way.
they all say, a small town, you will never get a better. A lot of people come and say, there's no parks like this.
I enjoyed that.
So I'm,
Now, anything about the dog park, has it going yet?
the dog park they're using, they haven't opened it.
Officially.
Well, we've opened it, but
Yeah.
we haven't had the grand opening with the
Ceremony.
naming of the ceremony and stuff. But yeah, the
I've seen
food
people
bags
use
are
it.
up and all that stuff, the trash can.
Is that gonna be this month or is it next?
Supposed to be,
I don't know,
in
nobody's
May.
told me,
supposed to
but
be.
it is May, so,
Yeah.
Mhm.
okay.
I know Olive, my granddaughter, did the book walk.
Oh, yeah, the book walk has
She
been very
is.
successful.
She went around 3 times reading it. I said, "Yeah, I'll read it again, because she loves to read.
We
She
shared it because a lot of people don't even know that walking trail's back there.
Yeah,
Uh,
she really loved it, had a little scooter.
With Billy's help, we can get a drone out there. I think if we get a drone and put a video on,
Oh,
really,
yeah.
people, they don't even
That'd
know
be
that
cool.
big.
I don't have a drone,
I've
I have a
got
license
one.
to fly one.
I've got, that I'm learning to fly, so.
Thanks to the city.
We can
Police
use one
department
here.
still has it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could borrow
Oh,
theirs.
yeah.
There's a lot better than mine.
Yeah.
Mine's like a
Yeah.
$400.
We can use that.
She loves that.
I'll borrow it off of you.
But if we could just, I'd like to see it walking around, because it'll follow
It's
you.
for
around.
city use.
Well, we could fly it behind people walking and get some
Okay.
good videos and stuff.
So it'd be cool.
Because a lot of people don't know that huge playground's back there. They come and go to the small playground and don't realize the big one
Bigger ones
back
there.
there.
And what I forgot to do for my report was give a report on the soccer field out there. I just got a letter on that. And there is a world yet of paperwork that has to be done And so Bluegrass Ad is doing that for us. That all has to be in July 1st of this year. But the decision by the National Park Service, and this is what floored me and everybody else at least, is that they will not decide, it'll take 12 months, 18 months to make the decision.
Wow.
Yeah.
Even though it's been-
How many parks are in the running? for
I
this
don't
thing?
know.
So we just made it through I thought we got the grant.
We preliminary, yeah, we've got preliminary approval, but the final approval has to come from the National Park Service.
And with-
And until we get all this, I mean, I saw my email and I just said, I hope I don't have to do this. And so Bluegrass Ad said, no, we're gonna take care of that for you. I go, thank you, Jesus. And so here we go, but it has to all be in by July 1st, but they're not gonna decide at least a year out, maybe 18 months.
Maybe give it to some of our federal representatives and see if they can.
Yeah.
We've had that help before on like.
Well,
grants and
I've
programs.
worked with McConnell, on that, and I know Andy too, so, but McConnell's not gonna be running.
It doesn't help that they produce their, and I think the
Workforce.
workers are trying to
Yeah,
prevail and make
they're
it look
just,
like.
they're just overloaded, really,
Yeah.
is what the problem
I
is.
got you.
But anyway, I forgot to give that report, but we are still, we're still in the running. That's all I gotta say. And it'll be nice. It'll really be a great addition for the city park. All right, anything else? Okay, can I have a motion for adjournment?
Motion to
Second.
adjourn.
All in favor? Any opposed? I'll shoot you. I mean. Gotta be careful with those words.
No, I didn't hear that.
I didn't hear that. Everybody else, they do. Hey, Brandon? Yes.
See you next time.
We've been putting up.
All right.
Have you
That's
seen
the
her?
better signs?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you do a little?
I'll plan on it. I'm working that out. I don't know if it's gonna be the next one or be when the following one
Is
released.
that where they're
The
like
paper.
equivalent this year?
Yeah, so we have, Gary Chaney.
Yes,
Yeah, we've been
that'll be your contact.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys have been talking?
Yeah,